Hi, it's Steve Lookner. We are here at Right Side Broadcasting. We are going to cover an announcement by the president that is going to come on in about 12 minutes from now, if it starts on time. President Trump is going to be signing a memo having to do with China's intellectual property laws, and let me just try to briefly describe to you what's going on in this. Oops, I gotta turn my volume off or you're gonna hear me and me. You're gonna hear double me. Okay, so here's the basic deal of what's going on today. A number of countries, the US included, have for a long time complained that China, when foreign countries go to do business in China, they are often forced to do things like partner with a local company and to give that local company, so to give China access to their intellectual property. So off the top of my head, an example of this would be if you were doing some kind of computer thing in China, you would have to share some of your company's computer technology with the China company, and then China would get access to it. And countries like the US have complained that this it allows China to basically steal intellectual property and then copy it or do whatever they will with it. But you know, if they get intellectual property from American companies or other countries' companies, they can copy it or they can develop it, and they don't have to develop it themselves. So there's that issue, and also there's another issue, which is U.S. and other countries for a long time just accused China of having this organized government-led campaign to steal other companies' intellectual property. So President Trump, what he's doing today is, it's a little complex. He could have ordered an investigation into this intellectual property stuff, and after that investigation, he could declare. He could say they're doing unfair trade practices. That's what the investigation is showing, and therefore we're going to start having new tariffs on China. But he isn't doing that yet. He's taking like a baby step. I mean, I don't know if baby step's the right word. It's a small step, which is he is signing a memo today ordering his lead trade representative to decide whether to conduct an investigation, to decide whether an investigation is warranted. So it's like, in a way, President Trump is ordering an investigation into whether to do an investigation. So we're not near the point yet where there might be tariffs on China, because even if the trade representative ultimately says, yeah, we should do an investigation, then I've heard the investigation could take like around a year, and then after that investigation, maybe we might have tariffs. So there's different speculation on what's going on here. I mean, one thing that's going on is President Trump is trying to address this complaint of American companies that China does steal intellectual property, and also when you go do business in China as an American company, you're forced to give up some of your intellectual property there to China. And they're trying to address that complaint, because, you know, countries don't like that. American companies, if you develop your own intellectual property, if you develop your own technology, you don't want to have it just be given to China and then they can take it and maybe come out with a competing product that they never actually developed on their own, really, because they're using, well, they didn't do much to develop because they're using a lot of your intellectual property. So there is this complaint, and President Trump is trying to address these complaints that have been going on for a while from American companies that China steals their intellectual property and makes them give up the intellectual property in order to do business in China. And he's trying to do that, but also some people think what President Trump is trying to do by this announcement today is, and starting to initially maybe threaten some tariffs on China, is to try to push China toward helping us more in stopping North Korea's development of their nuclear missile program. China provides most of North Korea's, resources in terms of like their food. They're by far their biggest trading partner. I believe their energy they provide most of too, and they buy a little their development of their nuclear missile program. But they've kept testing and they've kept developing new missiles, and so President Trump, maybe what he might be doing here is putting out a threat and saying, if you don't help us more with North Korea, you're going to see more trade actions from the United States against China. So I just noticed my try is crooked. I apologize. So what's happening today? We're not near the point where President Trump is going to unilaterally put tariffs on China. He's telling his trade representative to look into whether to investigate whether China's intellectual property laws and their behavior in terms of intellectual property warrants us taking action against them. So it's a very initial step, but it's a heads up to China that we're doing this, and perhaps it's supposed to help encourage them to help us more with North Korea. So it's going to start in about 6 minutes. We'll watch President Trump's announcement, and then we'll come back after for a little post show. But if you want to write in before the before the event actually starts, and let's see, I want to see something real quickly here. I'm going to say, please write to me if you have any comments at Lookner, at Lookner. But I wanted to check something here. Yes, so we'll be on in about 5 minutes. But let me know what you think. What do you think about President Trump taking this initial action that might lead to tariffs on China for stealing intellectual property and for forcing American companies to give intellectual property up when they go to do business in China? So write to me at Lookner on Twitter if you want to make a comment on this. Or you can email me at the email address below. Also, thank you for everybody, the moderators in the chat room today. We have Guinevere, JC, Real Frank. I'm sure there are others. If feel free also to subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting if you want to know we come on and cover news all the time. So if you want to catch our videos whenever we're covering breaking news, for example, go to YouTube, subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting, click the notifications bell, and that'll let you know about whenever we come on and do a video. And also, if you like having an alternative to the mainstream media for your coverage of news, please consider donating, because we rely on viewers like you to stay on the air. We are viewer supported. If you'd like to donate, even small donations really help us out. Go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or you can go to the YouTube chat room and just click on the $ at the bottom of the chat room. Another interesting aspect of this announcement today by the president is that, so normally these days, if you have a couple countries with a trade dispute, it's going to get dealt with in the WTO. WTO, giant trade organization. I want to say most countries in the world belong to the WTO. And it's an organization designed to promote free trade and to settle and to deal with accusations of unfair trade. And if the president ended up unilaterally putting sanctions on tariffs on China because of this intellectual property complaints that America has, it would be a bit controversial with some people, because some people think the WTO is really the place for this stuff to be settled, and not WTO is designed to be a place where countries can, in a group, work things out. And in theory, if countries are in the WTO, they can take their grievances there. But if this action President Trump is taking today could eventually lead to President Trump unilaterally imposing tariffs on China and not doing it through the WTO. So some people would say it should be done through WTO. Some people say the WTO can't deal properly with this situation, and therefore President Trump needs to take action. Now, if you want to get into specifics of that, you need to be like kind of an expert on WTO stuff, international trade law, and I am not. So I can't get you really into the specifics of WTO stuff, but I can give you some of the basics. All right, so we're waiting for this announcement from President Trump. It's supposed to start in 2 minutes. It could start a little late. Maybe it'll start a little late because President Trump made his statement before. Also happy to take comments on if you have comments on President Trump's statement from about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, where he came out and he specifically called out and condemned white supremacists, the KKK, and neo-Nazis. And that very well might have been to answer his critics this weekend, a number of whom were saying he has not specifically called out those groups, and he should do it. And some of you wrote in after, a number of you wrote in after our coverage of that statement when we were doing our post show, and we had a mixed reaction. Some of you were happy with President's statement. A number of you were not happy with it. Some of you thought he should have specifically mentioned Antifa. Some people thought he should have specifically mentioned BLM. So if you have any thoughts on that, feel free to write me as well, at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER. I'm happy to read your comments on the air as we're here in the post show. And in the pre-show, and we'll be back also afterwards with the post-show after this announcement by the president. So again, just to be clear, President Trump is going to sign a memo telling his trade representative, I forget, is it Lighthizer? U.S. Trade Rep. Let's see. I'm looking up the name so I can get it right for you. It is Robert Lighthizer, Robert Lighthizer, and he's going to sign a memo ordering Robert Lighthizer, his trade representative, to look into whether an investigation should be conducted into China's intellectual property practices, specifically them stealing intellectual property from American companies and them making American companies give up their intellectual property as a condition of doing business in China. And as I said before, some people have speculated that this move today by President Trump is related to trying to get China to do more about North Korea. And speaking of North Korea, I have seen reports the last couple days. I saw one report last night that said Kim Jong-un hasn't been in public for a couple weeks, and the last couple times that's happened, it's right before they conducted a missile test. So I've seen some speculation they're going to conduct a missile test soon. Also, I've seen some reports saying that there's been some action in places, I think involving submarines. So a couple experts were saying they thought North Korea might do a submarine-launched missile test next. So we will keep an eye out for that. There hasn't been a test in a little while. They're usually pretty regular, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one sometime soon. Reagan Better says, it's a positive that China is willing to help with North Korea sanctions. That's from Reagan Better. If you would like to write in and have me read your comment on the air, write to me at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER, or you can email me at the address below as well. Someone says, hey, Steve, don't lean back so far. You're fading into your green screen. Your blue shoot is projecting. You're just a year in hands at times. Keep up the good work. Thank you. We made some tech changes very recently here, and it's possible that that we're having a couple green screen issues that we haven't been having before, because in the past I'm not moving any more back and forth than I normally do on the broadcast. Joe, let me know if we're having any issues, and we can work on this after trying to deal with any kind of lighting green screen issues going on today. Thanks for the heads up though, Steve. I appreciate it. James Wolf says, James Wolf made a donation. Thank you, James Wolf. He gave $15 and he said, MAGA POTUS Trump can't hit a moving president. So thank you, James. We really appreciate the donation. Joe, all right, so Joe is saying we should be okay with the green screen for the rest of the broadcast, but we'll keep an eye out for it. Thank you, Steve. So, thank you, James Wolf, again for the donation. Your donations keep us on the air here at Right Side Broadcasting. If you'd like to donate and help keep us on the air and bring you more and give you further news from a non-mainstream media source, give you an alternative to the mainstream media, you can do what James did and click on the $ in the YouTube chat room at the bottom of the chat room, or go to rsbn.tv/donate. So President Trump is supposed to speak any minute now. I can really say any minute now because it was supposed to start 3 minutes ago. And we are just waiting, and as soon as he comes out, we'll bring it to you. I don't anticipate him saying anything about Charlottesville in this announcement, but you never know, he might. It's up to him what to say. So we will listen. If you want to send in any comments about either President Trump's announcement today or about this specific announcement, which is on intellectual property in China, or about President Trump's announcement earlier today about Charlottesville, his statement, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. I will read it on the air. Another little President Trump story I want to mention real quick in case you didn't see it at the end of our coverage of this statement earlier is that Fox News is reporting that President Trump is considering pardoning Joe Arpaio, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Let me see if I can get that on the screen for you. I should be able to. Here we go. Trump says considering pardoning Arizona Sheriff Arpaio, Fox News. And Sheriff Arpaio was convicted. What was it? It was when you like defy the court, contempt of court, misdemeanor contempt of court, because he was ordered to.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador Lighthizer, Secretary Mnuchin, Secretary Ross, Congressman Issa, and distinguished guests. Thank you all for being here. This is a very important moment. We're going to be fulfilling another campaign promise by taking firm steps to ensure that we protect the intellectual property of American companies and, very importantly, of American workers. The theft of intellectual property by foreign countries costs our nation millions of jobs and billions of dollars each and every year. For too long, this wealth has been drained from our country while Washington has done nothing. They have never done anything about it. But Washington will turn a blind eye no longer. Today, I'm directing the United States Trade Representative to examine China's policies, practices, and actions with regard to the forced transfers of American technology and the theft of American intellectual property. As President of the United States, it's my duty and responsibility to protect the American workers, technology, and industry from unfair and abusive actions. We will stand up to any country that unlawfully forces American companies to transfer their valuable technology as a condition of market access. We will combat the counterfeiting and piracy that destroys American jobs. We will enforce the rules of fair and reciprocal trade that form the foundation of responsible commerce. And we will protect forgotten Americans who have been left behind by a global trade system that has failed to look, and I mean look, out for their interests. They have not been looking out at all. This is what I promised to do as a candidate for this office, and this is what I am doing right now as president. Ambassador Lighthizer, you are empowered to consider all available options at your disposal. We will safeguard the copyrights, patents, trademarks, trade secrets, and other intellectual property that is so vital to our security and to our prosperity. We will uphold our values, we will defend our workers, and we will protect the innovations, creations, and inventions that power our magnificent country. Thank you, and God bless America. Thank you all very much. It's a very big move. Thank you. And this is just the beginning. I want to tell you that. This is just the beginning. Where's Raytheon? Raytheon, congratulations.
Mr. President, can you explain why you did not condemn those hate groups by name over the weekend?
They've been condemned. They have been condemned.
And why are we not having a press conference today? You said on Friday we'd have a press conference.
We had a press conference. We just had a press conference.
Can we ask you some more questions then, sir?
It doesn't bother me at all, but I like real news, not fake news. You're fake news. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Haven't you spread a lot of fake news yourself, sir?
They have been condemned.
And why are we not having a press conference today? You said on Friday we'd have a press conference.
We had a press conference. We just had a press conference.
Can we ask you some more questions then, sir?
It doesn't bother me at all, but I like real news, not fake news. You're fake news. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Haven't you spread a lot of fake news yourself, sir?
Wow. So this is Steve Lookner. I believe we're live. And sorry, I just got. It was a little delay here because I got a message. I got all these tweets at once saying we're live, so I hadn't known yet. That was pretty crazy. The end of the press conference there. We had an announcement on trade, which I'll talk about in a second, and then we had Jim Acosta. It sounded like it was Jim Acosta say a question to the president and said, "Hey, Mr. President, why didn't you condemn these specific groups earlier?" And he said, "They've been condemned." And then Acosta said, "Why didn't you have a press conference?" And President Trump said that was a press conference. We did have a press conference. And then Jim Acosta said, "Can we ask more questions?" And President Trump said something like, "I don't like fake news." And then he said, "You're fake news." He said, "You're fake news" to Jim Acosta. So pretty crazy at the end there. And again, I apologize. You probably saw me staring at the screen for 20 seconds because I got a tweet. Joe sent me a tweet saying we're going live, a message saying we're going to live, but I didn't get any of the messages, and all of a sudden I got like 4 messages at once. I got 4 notifications at once. So I went live as soon as I knew, but there was a little message signal issue that I didn't get them. Anyways, we're on now, we're live, and we're going to talk about with you for a second about what you think about what we just heard. What do you think about what the president said at the end there when he called Jim Acosta fake news? Also, the president signed a memorandum where this memo is going to, again, it's going to instruct his trade representative, Robert Lighthizer, to look into whether to investigate China for unfair trade practices, specifically whether we might want to impose tariffs on them or take action because they, steal intellectual property from American companies, and B, make American companies give intellectual property over to China or companies allied with China when they go as a condition for doing business in China. So no tariffs coming anytime really soon on this, but it is an initial looking into the situation. And perhaps, as we were saying in the pre-show, perhaps this is designed to push China to help us more with North Korea. But we'd love to get your thoughts, so write to me on Twitter @Lookner if you have any comments to make. Also, we got a donation from Bliss Girl. Bliss Girl gave $33 and said, "Thank you, RSBN Steve and staff, for airing and keeping us up to date on pertinent topics." You're welcome, Bliss Girl. Thank you so much for the donation. That's really nice of you and very generous. And we are viewer supported. Your donations are what allow us to be on the air for you. So we hope you consider donating. If you want to donate, rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Or you can go to the YouTube chat room next to the broadcast. Go to the bottom of the chat room. There's a $ there. You can click on it. Let's see here. I'm going to see if any of you sent me any comments. Annabelle Onion says, Acosta is very fake news. Anthony Bellavacqua sent me a message saying there are planned protests in New York tonight. I'll show you what Anthony sent me. Hold on a second. I'll get it up on the screen here. You'll see it in a second. There's such a delay on. I have to deal with this. Let's see. Here we go. President Trump returns to NYC tonight. Here are the planned protests. And let's see what it says. It says, I'm looking down. A rally is scheduled for outside Trump Tower from 5 to 7 p.m. on Monday. Hosted by the group Political Revolution. Third rally is supposed to take place around Trump Tower from 4:30 to 8 p.m. A pro-Trump crowd is planning to greet our hometown hero, 57th and 5th, from 6 to 9 p.m. Now, often, I believe they don't even let these rallies get close to Trump Tower, so they might be like a couple blocks away. But we'll keep an eye out for this. So, anyways, thank you, Anthony, for sending that in to me. Proud American says, CNN will never learn ha 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 and 3 smiley face emoticons. Or the laughing emoticons. Okay, just making sure I'm caught up with all your comments. I think I'm caught up. We'll be on the air a little while longer here, so if you have any comments you want to make and have me read on the air, write to me at @Lookner on Twitter. Annabelle Onion just sent me this. Annabelle Onion sent me sorry, a little bit of a delay on my screen here. I need to fix this. The Boston rally for free speech, posted by Laura Loomer. The Boston rally for free speech has been canceled. The mayor pulled the permit and Antifa threatened to attack the speakers. Wow, so Gavin McInnes was supposed to speak at this and Cassandra Fairbanks, and they've canceled this free speech rally for August 19th. And I don't like when they cancel any rallies by anybody. Let people speak to me. I don't care what your views are. So if that's, assuming that's true, that I'm a bit disappointed in that. Thank you for letting me know, Annabelle. Devontae Buford says, nobody watches CNN, it's a joke. Jim Acosta seems to enjoy being destroyed by Trump. Hashtag fake news, hashtag RSBN is better. Nicholas says, thank you, Devontae. Nicholas says, I think this is a great win for America. Fake news can't stop our president. I'm also hoping China will help us with North Korea. Reagan Better says, Jim Acosta needs to be thrown out of White House, remove his media credentials. Maybe they like having him there. Maybe they think when he goes after the president and it makes the media look bad or something. I don't know. It's possible. By the way, we are Right Side Broadcasting. You can follow us on Twitter at RSB Network, and you can follow me on Twitter at @Lookner, and I post a lot of breaking news stuff if you'd like that kind of stuff. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell, and also follow and like us on Facebook at Right Side Broadcasting. Okay, I'm going to make a last call if people have comments they want to get on the air. We're only going to be on the air a little while longer for this event at least. And I'm going to keep an eye on what's going on in New York tonight. You know, if there's any big rally stuff or other breaking news, we'll definitely come back on the air. I'm sort of interested in seeing, did other people post about that Boston rally getting canceled? This is interesting. I didn't know this. Before it was canceled, Cassandra Fairbanks had posted, hold on, you'll see it in a second. Cassandra Fairbanks had posted, I'm not going to speak at the Boston Free Speech Rally. The threats keep escalating and people are unhinged right now. Oh, and Joe already posted the clip up where President Trump calls Acosta fake news. So you can watch that on our website, Right Side Broadcasting. Well, you can watch it on our YouTube site, Right Side Broadcasting. TruthHerald.com RM says, Soros pays and organizes BLM and Antifa and is working behind the scenes to get this president ousted. Aaron Williams writes, Jim Acosta is submissive and he knows Trump is the only thing that can make him famous. They feed off each other. That's an interesting thought, Aaron. I was actually thinking to myself, it's possible Jim Acosta likes it when President Trump calls him out because he gets a lot of press from that. So he might like it. I don't know. I don't know the man, so. Joella Ruggiero writes in, our wonderful president could make the best speech of denouncing these racist Nazis troublemakers. The mainstream media would still criticize him. He can't win with them. And the new polls say that our president has fallen to a lowest level in approval rating. Don't believe that either. He's doing a great job. And Acosta is a jackass. Thanks, Steve. You are the best. Thank you, Joella, for writing in and for your kind words. Hank Hill writes, Gavin McInnes confirms no rally. I'll show you that. So Gavin McInnes was supposed to speak at the Boston Free Speech Rally. And you can see here, Gavin McInnes says, I am not going to the Boston rally anymore. Mayor revoking permit equals I want a riot. Proud Boys disavow it's a trap. So I guess there's something where like the mayor revoked the permit and now these people are just saying, well, we're not going to have the rally if you don't give it a permit. Thank you, Hank Hill, for letting me know. TruthHerald.com RM says someone has to kick Soros out of the USA. Okay, I think right now we're going to wrap up this broadcast. This has been President Trump's signing of a memo ordering his trade representative to start looking into China's stealing of intellectual property and making American companies give up intellectual property when they go do business in China. And if there's more breaking news tonight, we will be on the air and let you know. So to know when we're coming on the air, subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell. Also follow us on Twitter at RSB Network, and you can follow me on Twitter at @Lookner. And thank you to all the moderators in the chat room and everybody for sending in your comments, and Joe doing his usual excellent job getting this on the air. And that's going to be it from now. I am Steve Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting. And we hope you have a good evening, and we will see you later on whenever the news permits. I'm sure there will be a lot of news as usual this week, so we will be there to cover it. So until we see you again, have a great rest of your day and a great evening.